It is time for another episode of the podcast that goes crazy for local sports news and highlights even your favorite athletes. We don't necessarily have an athlete on here, but one who works with them. But before we get to that, welcome Minot sports fans listening to another wonderful guest on the program today. Doing this on Wednesday, September 9th, you may also find yourself catching this at a totally different time, and that's just cool. Just glad that you're here listening to the podcast that is produced by KMSU TV and Radio, home inside Hartnett Hall at the beautiful confines of Minot State University. Speaking of being glad, that is what we're feeling right now because we have another guest, as mentioned, on the show today. The first one from our neighbors across the street at Bishop Bryan. Give a warm welcome to the athletic director and head football coach for the Bishop Bryan Lions, Roger Coleman. And how have you been, Roger?
Good, man. It's been great to get back into the building and get back to work after, not being able to be around the kids basically since March. So it's been great.
First off, Coach, welcome and happy first few weeks of school, not just for you guys, but also all schools around the city, making it possible to have all the kids face-to-face in the classroom. And just give us your perspective on how you guys are making it happen with that.
Yeah, I think, there's been small changes. Trying to obviously keep social distancing as best that we can. At Bishop Bryan, we didn't implement any mask mandates. So no mask over there, but still, no drinking fountains. So there's some small changes, but other than that, it's been more or less back to normal.
So you're the athletic director for Bishop Bryan after all. How are you feeling once you heard about the NDHSAA announcing full steam ahead on all athletic events?
Yeah, it was awesome. When we got the news, we weren't real sure what they were going to rule, but once they did that, just a lot of excitement. Texted a lot of our athletes, messaged them, and we had a summer camp that we did kind of outside of competition, and I let them know there's no telling how it's going to go, and it was actually in the middle of that when high school activities decided we were going to have a season or be able to have a fall season. So it's been, just big excitement kind of hit, and we're like, all right, all this work is paying off, especially for our seniors who, last year our senior class didn't get sports in the spring. So, they're just lucky to get what they can get, but we're still kind of telling them, look, it's never know when we could get pulled out from under. So, every play like it's your last, and that's a lot different than it has been in the past.
Yeah, you never know when life can strike there. Did there ever get to be a time of such high nerve-wracking moments that you had a feeling it wasn't going to be possible, that there weren't going to be any high school sports?
Well, I thought maybe the trickle down might happen with obviously big-time colleges and then even, D2 schools. Once they started canceling, I was just kind of hoping that the high school activities would make their own ruling, not go off of that, and that's kind of what they did. So, but I can't say, I was 100% positive. I'd say I was probably about 50-50, and then slowly it went up, and once they announced it, then that was awesome.
How much better does that make you feel knowing that there's work to be done, but also having your athletes feeling excited right in front of you?
Well, it was a great moment. We'd finished our day 3 of our summer camp, and just to let them know, there's some cheers and excitement from all the guys. So it was great timing actually too that we were all around each other.
So as mentioned, you're athletic director, but you're also the head football coach. So this will be kind of a little bit of a football season preview for the Lions, but also looking at other athletics since it would be unfair with you in here as the athletic director. Was there anything different preparing for Lion athletics knowing it may have been in jeopardy this year?
I don't think preparing going in, everything we did was the same. A lot more meetings to figure out how we were going to do things. Things would be different. So that was probably a big change. But I kind of told our guys that I coach on the football team, other coaches, like we got to approach the season like everything's going to be normal, and then we'll adjust accordingly. So that's how we took the approach going into the year.
Starting off in fall sports, beings those are underway, 2-1 in football, but yet looking like there's a lot of high expectations for the team. Having made a trip to the state title game last year, what would you say that is the right outlook of the team in the next coming weeks here of the season?
Well, I think our goal is to get back to the state championship game and finish the job. We have great senior class. We kind of went from losing our line to seniors who graduated last year to now our skill guys are the seniors, and our line are kind of the juniors or even younger guys. So the expectation is the same. And then just coming up, I mean, our region at the very top is competitive. So we've had some not so competitive games, and the big matchup every year is usually with Velvin. We play them in a couple weeks for our homecoming. So I think that's kind of the matchup everyone's looking at in the area, and we certainly are, and I'm sure they are too. That's the side of the region in the last few years. So that's kind of the big matchup that we're looking forward to.
It's really no doubt this team is fun to watch, and all it takes is one game to recognize that for anyone, because the team is constantly scoring. How or why is it that you guys manage a great game plan on a week-to-week basis?
I think a lot of work goes into that from the entire coaching staff. We spend a ton of film, but it's not only that, just messaging each other, figuring out what's going to work best, putting together a game plan, and then executing it comes down to the kids. We just try to put them in the best spot to be successful, and we think we have a lot of great athletes spread out all across the field, which makes us a tough team to defend, which leads to the scoring, and we're definitely not afraid to throw the ball. We probably throw the ball a lot more than most of the teams, especially in this state at really any level, from what I've seen, and that's something that's tough to defend as well. When we're not just going to line up and run the ball at you, you got to defend all the space on the field.
You can look at so many talented guys on and off the field, coordinating everything together with the coaches, and there's a lot of success on both sides. What would you attribute that to?
I just think a commitment to, learn more, and like we talked about, just preparation. It takes a lot to go into a football game. It turns into more of a chess match once you're evenly skilled teams, and most of the time we feel like we have the better athletes, and then some of the tougher matchups, then it's going to come down to just small plays here and there.
How do you keep them going hard weekly and telling them to be their best and manage to stay at the top? When adversity strikes, what would you tell them?
I think we just stay the course. We all trust in each other. It's my fourth year there. Right now, our seniors, they started kind of this change of the program as freshmen, so they're all bought into the culture and how we do things. And our first game of the year, we dropped down to Dickinson Trinity, and it was kind of an eye opener thing. We can't just show up and think we're going to win just because we have a lion on our helmet. So that was a big adjustment. They responded well. The last two games, we really haven't given up any points. We gave up 6 points, but we had some junior high and high school kids in the fourth quarter. So it's been a big response, and we're back to playing our brand of football as a team.
Yeah, getting up in the score and giving some of the lower kids some playing time. And, yeah, it's good recognition, good response after a tough last-minute loss there to Dickinson. But for the rest of the season, what would be your goals and expectations for this team?
Well, I think, starts in the region. Like I said, that Velva game is going to be a big game next week. We all know that. Winning that game really gives you a big jump and a chance to win the region title. And then after that, getting into the playoffs, anything can happen. So, but our ultimate goal is going to win the state championship, and we know we have enough talent back to do that. And there's a few teams in the way, obviously, to make that happen, and we just have to keep preparing as best we can week to week and getting better and ready for that playoff run.
Looking forward to how it's all going to go down. And moving on to the other athletic teams in action, and that's cross country and volleyball. And so far, both doing solid, and nothing you're seeing looks to be too discouraging from the results. How would you say it's going for them, and could we see some damage from these guys?
I think our cross country team, those kids have been working in that program too. Coach Rogers has done a great job. A lot of personal records have been set for those kids, and that's kind of what, that sport's about, competing against other people, but it's so much about competing against yourself as well. And when we have so many kids setting personal records each week or even moving up in the rankings, I think that program's grown and going to be a threat probably towards the end of this year, and then hopefully, keeps building year to year. And then volleyball, we just have a lot of athletic girls on that team. So it's something that, we had a coaching change a few years ago again, and Coach Tice has done a good job of implementing a new system. But this is kind of the year, I think, that we're looking for them to really make some noise through districts and then through regionals as well.
And like you said, with volleyball, relevant at this time with their home opener tomorrow night. That's good to have some home action now for the Lions supporters. What are you hoping they can accomplish in this new season, if you haven't answered that already?
I just think, communication, playing well together. We do have some girls in some new roles. We did graduate some, but our hitters are really athletic. They've been in those positions for a while. So I think just getting a good sense of playing together and filling each other out. We usually play a lot more games at this point of the season, so it's pretty early with tournaments being canceled that we typically play in. So right now they haven't had a whole lot of on-court action, but it's going to be great just to get fans back in to Bishop Bryan, into Lions Den, and get the girls playing at home. Can't wait.
If there's anything, what would you find from any of these clubs that seem to be creating headlines or even turning heads in this new season?
Well, I think it's pretty early now, so I don't know if there's been anything that's really jumped out at anybody. So that's just kind of something that, we'll see as the weeks go by here.
What would you hope to see from the other squads accomplish this season for Lion Athletics as they move deep into their season? And I guess you can go straight into basketball in the winter and what have you. What are you hoping to see?
I mean, just competitiveness. We are new coach coming back, an alum, Brody Bosch, to lead the boys basketball team. So we're extremely excited about that. He's had great success when he was an assistant coach at Ryan, and then he moved on the last 2 years at our Redeemers, and now he's back at Bishop Bryan, which we're extremely excited for that. And then, our girls, a lot of those same athletic volleyball girls are on the basketball team as well. So just looking forward to be able to compete there. And then wrestling, we've had a great wrestling program. Coaching changed a couple years ago with Coach Nagel, who also is on the football staff. So, always guys there competing for a state title, or who's competing for the dual region championship. So, I don't know. It's always exciting every year with Bishop Bryan Athletics, and our goal is always to be as competitive as we can and compete at the highest level in the leagues that we're in, and I feel like we do that year in and year out. So it's always exciting, all the sports that we're involved in and activities.
For sure. And fingers crossed we're still going to get the winter and spring seasons of sports. But getting an overall outlook on the school year and seeing potentially how it could unfold, how good do you feel being able to see all that go down, like preparation into how the schedule is going to work out and what effect you have for setting games and times pretty much?
Well, I think overall I'm pretty optimistic, just as in general. I mean, that's just the kind of guy that I am. So, I'm going to make the schedule. We're going to book the travel. We're going to book the teams, and we're going to, hope it all pans out and adjust accordingly. I think if you get caught up into thinking, oh, what's going to happen next? Are they going to cancel a game? Then you're just adding a lot of stress and pressure that doesn't really need to be there. So, I'm extremely optimistic that everything's going to go mostly as planned. I'm sure there's going to be some times where, maybe a school gets closed down for a while, or they got too many athletes that are, quarantined or positive or whatever. And then you might have to reschedule a game here and there, or even maybe forfeit or declare a no contest. But I think overall, I got a pretty positive outlook that, let's just throw it out there. 90% of the season is going to get played.
Yeah, staying positive when the times it seems like, everything's not going right. But that's a good mindset to have. And switching now over to the Bishop Bryan alumni committing to Minot State Athletics for the past few years with Ben Bowl and Mason Hedberg and now Keegan Henjum this time around. There's probably a few more in there that I'm forgetting or maybe I'm not aware of, but you guys also have a few alumni that did play sports in high school but decided not to at the college ranks. Last I heard, Grace Candrian in softball, although not playing for the Beavers but still going to school here. How big is that got to be, not just for the students, but what does that say about the Bishop Bryan school system and getting these kids prepped for the next level?
I think it's a big compliment to just our athletic department in general, coaching staffs, that it makes a pretty good transition that we have recruitable kids skill-wise, and then the mental aspect that they're ready to come over and play. And just a few kids that just jump out to me my first year. Chris Sowich, he's also a member of the football team over here at Minot State. And then I didn't coach Jordan. I didn't get here till then, but Jordan Will was a captain of the football team and wrestling, great wrestling. So I just think having that pedigree of the kids that we're sending over shows the caliber of athletes and program that we run, that we have, we're a pretty small school. Our numbers aren't great on those sports teams even, but the quality of athlete that we have and the way that we do things translate to the next level, which is great for these kids to get an opportunity not only to play, but also, some of them getting some scholarship money. So, that never really gets touched on as far as, that can be life-changing down the road when they don't have as much student debt. And that's what we kind of tell our guys, like, go play, have fun. And if you can get some of your school paid for, that's a huge bonus.
Yeah, certainly the quality aspect there, although not a high number, but they're really making it count with these athletes. And give us your scoop on what it's like sharing the same town with a Class B rival, but also knowing that you guys also have to share players and or teams like football and having to convert with maybe a few Minot High clubs as well in swimming.
Well, yeah, the Our Redeemers co-op that we put in place last year for football, and now it's grown to some other sports. But, I mean, it's awesome because now those kids get even better relationships that they had. So football-wise, it's obviously helping both schools be a little bit more competitive, more opportunities. And then now when we are competing against each other, it adds a little something to that rivalry as well. So it's been great to be able to add them. And then, Minot High, anything that we can't offer due to our size, they welcome our athletes to go there. So it's just more opportunities for our students and student athletes to be able to play, girls golf or swimming, like you said. So it's great to be able to be in the community that we're in, and all the schools, we're competing against each other in certain aspects, but we're really trying to help each other in other aspects as well. So it's a great.
Giving the athletes an opportunity to play the game that they're so passionate for. And as an athletic director, what would you say, we're going to talk about dual sport athletes, how critical is it for them to get involved in as many things as possible? What do you think on that?
Well, I'm a huge believer in that, and you could talk to professional athletes, see the research out there seems to back that up. So especially in a small school like ours, I mean, I tell the kids I'd love to see them playing at least 3 sports. Sometimes they're lucky enough to be able to play 4. We've had a captain of the Minot High soccer team play football. He kicked and played receiver and defensive back for us in the same season. We've had some guys run track and play baseball, girls that were also same thing, track, softball. So I just think, you're only young for so long, so play as many sports as you can. Love the multi-sport athlete. Not only are you playing different sports that are using different parts of your body and skills, but you're also getting relationships with different coaches, how they do things, and learning from multiple people. So I think, I don't know, I preach to the kids, play as many sports as you can and be a multi-sport athlete.
Yeah, and if the coaches know each other and you're building those connections, it's really easy, just to have a simple conversation with them. And famous question I ask everyone on here. This one's kind of different. So if you could play any sport in quarantine with a famous athlete, coach, or celebrity, what would be your selection and why?
That's tough. Famous person, play a sport with them in quarantine. Well, I would probably say I actually took up golf again since quarantine kind of slowed things down in March. So I haven't golfed for about 15 or 20 years. So I would say it'd probably be golf so I could learn some lessons. Man, there's so many good golfers out there. I think who I'd want to hang out the most, maybe Rory McIlroy. I'm not sure. He seems like a cool guy and could teach me some things. So that wouldn't have been my pick last year, but since this spring, that's definitely my pick, I guess.
Yeah, I can't go wrong with Rory. Well, I want to talk a little bit about all the professional sports going on. We're getting hockey, basketball, baseball, and then now we got football starting up tomorrow. Just give us your take on the professional sports landscape, How exciting is it right now?
Well, I'm just glad that they figured out a way to do it, whether it's in a bubble, less travel. And really, I'm glad that it's happening, but really from what I got to do in my daily job with all the stuff that I do and coaching, I really don't even get around to watching most of that stuff until our football season's over. I've turned the TV on a little bit late at night and checked out some of the basketball in the bubble, a little bit of baseball. Not much of a hockey guy, but I think it's great that they're finding a way to at least have the sport, so it's an option. And I'm definitely excited for the NFL. I would have loved to see all the big time college football schools play, but some of them are, and I love college football is definitely my number one to watch. So I'm looking forward to that the most, but I'm just glad that they found a way to put some entertainment out there.
Do you have any predictions, or do you hope to see anything from these sports going on?
Well, I mean, obviously the Steelers will probably win the Super Bowl. No, not really. I just I hope that they can get their full seasons in, just like I hope that we can. And I don't know. I guess money's probably got to go on the Lakers in the NBA right now. And then who knows what's going to happen with college football since there's no real championships in hockey. Or you're asking the wrong guy about hockey.
Yeah, but it's a good Final Four matchup, and it'll certainly set up for a nice Stanley Cup final there. But yeah, that's no problem. And I guess not everyone follows hockey, but what can you do? But Roger, we can't thank you enough for being on the podcast today. We hope to see a lot of success with Bishop Bryan Athletics, especially for the football club that you coach.
All right, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you to Bishop Bryan Athletic Director and Lions football head coach Roger Coleman for being on today. A quick reminder that the Minot Sports Podcast is brought to you by KMSU TV and Radio. You can follow the podcast and KMSU on all of our social media pages for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thanks again to Mr. Coleman. You guys stay safe and healthy out there, and have a good day.